Hello, good evening, and welcome to Winners and Losers from the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav. With me I have got Davo, Kev and Pete. And before we go on, I fucking know it's a new intro, right? I know it was the best intro of all time ever, but we got done for copyright and they told us to take it down, so we had to take it down. We'll probably get done for copyright for this one as well, and I'll spend another fucking 5 days looking for more music. So, apologies. Hannah alone says the music different. It is, Hannah. We're sorry, because we're going to get loads of complaints about it. We did take the music from a royalty-free website, and then it turns out it's not fucking free at all. So they're lying bastards, right? So, let's get on with it. Winners and losers. We're going to try to do this in an hour. We say that every week. Davo's been working about an hour and a half, so we have to get it sorted. All right? Are you off this week?
No. Wish you fucking was.
Don't ever tell us you're off, because we keep you here at 1 o'clock. Anyway, you know how it works by now. The three lads bring a winner, the three lads bring a loser. We pick them at random as we go, and anything else that turns up in the meantime, we'll have a go. If anyone wants to feel like they want to talk about Arsenal, fucking fire away, because that's what you get for getting a Manager of the Month award when you lose a fucking game in the month. So, Kev, let's start with you. Let's start with your winner, Kev. Let's start on a positive.
Starting a positive, right? Winner of the week, Everton Football Club.
Go on, say that again.
Everton Football Club.
Everton Football Club are your winner of the week. Come on.
They have to be. After the result midweek with Burnley losing like that, playing Manchester United at home with a crowd that's definitely going to be baying for blood if you don't get it right. And they got the result they needed. And they had to get it because they were doomed. Let's be honest. They were done. And with the way the weekend results panned out, it's worked out brilliantly for them. And sometimes you got to give the devil their due, and bringing the experienced players back in Delph and Coleman helped them an awful lot. What also helped them was Manchester United were absolutely atrocious. I mean, I got friends and family who are Man United fans, and they're past it now. They're past the grieving stage. They're in the I don't give a shit stage now.
A United fan I met on Saturday afternoon, about an hour after the game, said, "Given up. I've given up on this season. Like, literally play all the Unfiltered. I'm sick of it."
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting off my cousins as well. They're all saying the same thing, and it wasn't unexpected. But at the same time, with the run of form that Everton have been on, their home form hasn't been that bad. You know, they were robbed of a point against Man City by a dodgy decision. And to turn that performance in and that result in on the back of losing to Burnley in the way they lost, just got to give the devil their due. And fair play to them. They needed that, and they deserved it. They deserved it on the day as well, you know, because they spoiled Manchester United. They literally limited them to not an awful lot.
How hard is it to limit Manchester United?
It shouldn't be as easy as what Everton made it. And bear in mind, this is an Everton side who are fighting for their lives, but they're at the wrong end of the table after getting a beating off Burnley. That's a game that you should, especially in the position that Manchester United were in. You know, we said it on Friday night, didn't we? That was a game that they had to win because of their chase for top four.
Yeah.
That's virtually gone now. Yeah. You know, they're 6 points off top four. They're done. And
I have to be honest with you. I predicted United to win that game on Saturday, and it was actually off the back of listening to Dave Downey on the Blue Room. I listened to the Blue Room on Thursday or Friday, and he was saying, look, the way we're playing, you know, Sancho up against the Coleman, you know, Ronaldo up against their centre halves, you know, Fernandes up against whoever sits deep in their midfield. He was going through it. Like when he went through it, it was like, yeah, fair point.
Yeah, Alan came back in and dealt.
But in fairness, like, and you can touch on United as well. Everton went out and they did spoil United. They stopped them. They made it a really quick pace game. They went wide, which United don't like. United like to see all these players in the middle of the park because Klopp's dad, who manages them, thinks that's the best thing to do. And Everton, I think, deservedly won it. Davo, like, that's a huge win for Everton. Me and you have been talking about it all week. I actually got you on side with regards to Everton going down, and then it quickly ended.
Yeah, I blame you on them getting that win. Like, I started getting horny about them going down after Burnley when I told you for the last 4 or 5 weeks they'd stay up comfortably.
Yeah,
and I think they will stay up comfortably now. I think that weekend just gone has got them safe. Burnley
4 points clear of Burnley now.
Yeah, Burnley are playing a different sport. Like the one good thing, listen, I'd love an Everton to go, it'd been hilarious. But on the flip side of that, we're going to see the back of Burnley, thanks be to Jesus, because they don't play football. It's a different sport they play. They're absolutely fucking atrocious. So, no, huge win for Everton. I tend, being the age that I am, having grown up with United, breaking my heart all the way through secondary school, I tend not to watch a whole lot of them, but I actually watched that game the weekend and they were fucking deplorable. They are absolutely deplorable. They could have been there till now and wouldn't have scored. So now, fair play to Everton. They're the huge winners of the weekend, considering that's them safe. I know they've more games, but
considering, like, you know, they're probably looking up at Leeds and Newcastle, who both win. Newcastle beat Wolves on Friday night. Leeds beat Watford 3-0 on Saturday. And when you see that and you start looking down, you think to yourself, right, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? Watford get beaten, Burnley get beaten, although by Norwich it doesn't really make a difference. But it just pushes Everton 4 points clear. But like they are a winner of the weekend, there's no doubt about it, Pete. But like when you look at that United side and you look what they put out, and then within hours of them being beaten, you know, it's like, Ten Hag is coming in and he wants about 80 different assurances before he comes in. He's going to tell 6 or 8 players they can leave, although I think 6 of them are out of contract. He wants to keep a lot of players that probably would want to leave. Then there's rumour today, was it that RB Leipzig may make a move for Ten Hag and go, listen, we'll bring you here and we'll, you know, do this, that, and the other. Like, Pete, they had to win that game on Saturday. They're looking at Arsenal, they're looking at Spurs, and they even West Ham, and they go out there and they are like Davo said, and we've still to play them. And the United fan I also spoke to said my worst nightmare is going to be Tuesday week when we go to Anfield, because
Manchester United, I mean, are so far down the rabbit hole. The only thing that associates Manchester United with what you would normally expect from Manchester United is their name. 1 point from 6. I mean, it's incredible. There's no cohesion there, and it's funny. Every 6 months, it seems now that they mention a new manager. It's almost like they expect it, like a video game. They expect a new manager to come in, ship out billions of euros worth of talent, billions of pounds worth of talent, and just ship in a lot. I mean, they think that Anthony is going to come from Ajax. They think that all these good players are going. It's not going to happen. Manchester United have so many problems that, you know, they've had on paper the best managers in the world come in and try to do it. But the problem is you can't. It's an agent's game now. You cannot move these lads. Right, they'll move Pogba on at last, and they'll move a couple of lads on. But there's a lot of lads sitting there, you know, and Manchester United.
They're not moving Pogba on. Pogba's deciding when he leaves.
But Manchester United as an institution are happy with the likes of him and others having 29 million followers on Instagram and all of this garbage. It's not about, it's top to bottom, absolutely rotten. They're finished, not for 3 years, not for 4 years, for a good 10, 15 years. They're gone. I mean, they're gone beyond where we went. With Liverpool, you know, you were always 3-4 decent seasons and a bit of organisation away. But Manchester United are a decade, maybe more, away from. I mean, they would be better off probably just cancelling every player's contract.
And you can't do that.
They'd probably be better off doing that, Gav, and saying to someone, listen, let's absolutely start from scratch. Let's see what this brilliant kids academy is about, and really try to be about what they're about. There is nothing. You look at Everton, you know, and you're right. The Blue Room made some very, very good points individually, but that's the problem. They've got a squad of individuals, and individuals win you nothing. yeah, I look at Wan-Bissaka and, I'm not even going to talk about comparisons, but you look at how frightened Manchester United players looked frightened against Everton. Bruno Fernandes, again, exposed for what he actually is.
I just couldn't
He's an
believe they brought
individual.
on Juan Mata. When I seen Juan Mata coming on the pitch, I was like, "This, what the fuck is going on?"
But the closest thing to organisation is him. One Mata came on and he was pointing fingers everywhere. He was telling people where they need to go, and
Yeah,
he was right.
but hold
The
on,
problem is he's 35 years of age,
right? But
and he
if
ain't
if, he,
going to
if
do
he's
anything for
if
you.
he's on a pitch and he's pointing at people and telling them where to go, and he's right, why isn't he being in the team?
Yeah,
This just seems like to me it's just keep throwing shit at it and sees
look,
what happens.
exactly, Gav.
And
Listen, it sums it up.
and
Fred,
another
Fred
thing
is
he
the
may
best
said to
player.
me, another thing he may said to me, and he's just given up on the season, and he turned around and he said they're going to need 5 years. He said, but the problem is United
That's
fans
been
won't
going.
wait 5 years, and he said the people in charge do not have the ability to make a decision to wait
But Gav,
5 years.
they don't need to. Those guys, listen, that the Glazers have just. I mean, it's a masterstroke from them as business people. They've bought one of the best leverage businesses that you can to leverage against loans for things that you are interested in. The Glazers aren't interested in Manchester United or football. They're not interested in it. What they're interested in is buying other things and using Manchester United. And you know what I love is the fact that it took them so many years to build up this stellar reputation. And a bunch of Americans just come in and go, that's great, fantastic, sell them the dream and use that reputation with banks all over the world to leverage for loans against things that they're actually interested in. There's no reason for the Glazers to sell, and they won't sell. You won't find a more sure bet with a bank anywhere in the world than Manchester United PLC. This is the beauty. No, but that's why nobody can buy them, because these lads don't want to sell. They just want to borrow for other things that they're interested in and leverage Manchester
Well,
United.
they're not even borrowing anymore. They're taking somewhere around 120 million a year out of the club. I seen something last week where they taken something like 1.5 billion out of Manchester United. They bought United on loans. We all know that. But it's I just
Well, the good thing that came, it was an interesting one that came a couple of months ago. There was an IPL auction for a new franchise in the Indian Cricket League, and the Glazers wanted to bid for this new franchise, and it was over $1 billion that they wanted to bid for it, and they missed out on it. But that tells you where they're at. You look at the market in India for IPL, that is massive printing money, like it's going out of fashion. It's a 6-week tournament, and they lost out in a bid of over $1 billion to get this franchise. That tells you how much money is in it. You look at what they're interested in buying in America with new stadiums and the sports ventures that they have going on over there. And then you look at Old Trafford, and you look at Carrington, and you look at a tired old squad. But as Pete said, a stellar name, and a name that is a license to print money.
You
He's
go to the
right.
bank, Kev. You go to the bank and say, I own Manchester United. I'm also interested in investing in IPL or something else. Can I leverage Manchester? Yeah, of course. The answer is
Yeah.
those lads don't have to sell, and they won't sell.
No.
They
no,
won't.
it is a cash cow, but they're in danger of finishing. They're in danger of finishing UEFA conference fucking levels. Like, just quickly on it, Davo, before we move on. United out of the top 4 race. They have to play. They have to play Arsenal.
Look, they have to play Arsenal. Like the mad thing is that up until a couple of weeks ago, I would have just said, like I said to you, growing up and watching them pull so many stuff out of the bag, it gets ingrained in you that the cunts, you know what I mean? They're like cockroaches, you can't kill them. And I would have thought they might still sneak forward because I don't trust Arsenal and Spurs, but the players just have seemed to throw the towel in, just that they don't. Like Pete said, there's going to be a lot of them that won't be there next year. So I think a lot of them are just kind of looking around going, listen, do we really give a fuck? Listen, the one thing that sums up the whole club here from top to bottom, start to finish, everything like that is they've now a manager and they gave Bruno Fernandes a new contract. That they didn't need to give him. He's not like he's 3 years left or something like that. Like he's only in the door 18 months. So they gave him a new deal. They've now a manager, and they gave a fella a new contract that probably has 3 years left on a deal. So it's absolutely fucking ludicrous fucking stuff there. So yeah, I think they're out of it, yeah.
And just staying with you, is it a bit of a mad one that Ten Hag would consider going there? And I know, like you've said, they're a stellar name. You know, they have got money. They do spend it, but they probably don't spend enough for their fans because they know there's money being taken out by Glazers for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, isn't it? And if they're going into the IPL and stuff like that. Davo, is he mad to go near it? Because I just think...
Well, I was thinking about it today, listening to a few different podcasts about him coming in, and the one kind of thing that popped into my head was he's probably not mad going near it because what kind of money is he on at Ajax? If he takes the United job, even if it goes tits up, his family and the generations behind him are probably set for the rest of their lives. Do you know the kind of way now? I know that's probably a cynical way of looking at it, or like maybe he's not that type of bloke. But I mean, he's probably walking into the job name and his price. Whereas at Ajax, would he be on $1 million a year at Ajax as manager? Not sure.
I don't know, but he'd be on 2 or
Sure,
3 million a year.
No, you make your money in the Champions League with Ajax.
So listen, footballing boys. Like there's people that know a lot more of it than me, but if you put the structures in place around him, he'll probably do a very good job. How long is it going to take to get the structures in place around him? You know,
That's the problem, Davo.
They don't seem to want to put the structures in place because the structures in place would expose what United fans are probably saying. You know, like if he come in there and said, right, I'm bringing Van der Sar with me as a director of football, right? And the Glazers say Joel Glazer, whoever who's running that bleeding club at the minute, they probably ring Gary Neville to ask him what he thinks. But if he brings him in, what happens is you have a step between your manager and your owners, where if the manager manages to agree with the director of football, i.e. Van der Sar, say, and goes to the owners, it puts extra pressure on them. They don't want that. That's why Solskjaer lasted so long. Solskjaer just sat there and went, you know, I'll just take it. I'll just take wherever I'm given. I'm just happy to be here. You know, it'd be an interesting one. I think he's highly rated.
Well, I listened to Off the Ball had Simon Cooper on. You know, your man who wrote Football Against the Enemy or whatever. He's based in Holland.
So
he knows a lot about him, and he was basically kind of saying, wasn't kind of alarm bells when I listened to it for United, but he was basically saying he's a very laid back kind of laissez-faire kind of, like your man was asking him, like, what about these leaks coming from the dressing room from agents and the players are telling their agents and whatnot, and he was like, he kind of treats people like adults. He's kind of says, listen, if you are going to do that, I can't stop you, but I don't, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, we're not going to get the best out of ourselves, so why are you doing it? He's not going to come in basically and rule with an iron fist at all. He treats the players as adults, and he'll move on from there. He doesn't need to be involved in transfers. He doesn't need to have have that autonomy throughout the club. But I would have thought that club, with the group of players that are there, it's probably too far gone for somebody to come in and say, listen, I'm going to treat you like adults, because they haven't really been behaving as adults for the last fucking 5 or 6 years, the squad at United.
I'm just amazed at any manager looking to better himself, and he definitely is Ten Hag if he's looking to leave Ajax and come to England. Because of I'm not saying nothing wrong with Ajax, I'm saying the standard of football and the standard of competition and where you can go with it. I'm just amazed that any manager out there at the moment in 2022 is not sitting on their hands and saying City and possibly Liverpool jobs is up in 2 years' time. I could literally do Ajax for another 2 years and then go and put myself forward for one of these two jobs and could get it. Because I don't think there's any standout ones out there, but we'll see how it goes. But Everton winner of the week for Kev, good result for them. They moved 4 points clear of Burnley with about 7 games left, I think. Everton still have a hard run, but Burnley are shy, so that's how it goes. Pete, I'll come to you. Loser of the week.
For me, I think I said all the doubters. The last time I was on the show, you know, I kind of said that Liverpool. And I remember clearly Liverpool were on a different level to everybody else, and I was laughed at a little bit. And, you know, I was probably a little bit mad. We were having a bit of a sticky patch. But I just really think, you know, I mean, we have a great laugh. And Andy's the best in the world. You know, after every match, he takes his point off for the, you know, top Reds versus bottom Reds. And I love it. It's the highlight of my week. And it underlines everything that, you know, I'm going to say is that, you know, Twitter's fantastic and Facebook is fantastic. We all have our opinions, but just trust the process. And the real losers of the week are the lads that don't trust the process. So much so, you can see them going online after we take a point away from a very, very, very difficult a game where we weren't we made every mistake you could possibly imagine in the first 45 minutes. And then, I'll talk about my winner later on of the week, after the 45 minutes. And, they're kind of, even our own supporters are, I don't want to mention what we call them, but our own supporters are kind of fuming because, they haven't trusted the process and we are different levels. So loser of the week are people that don't trust what goes on at Liverpool and don't get down on their hands and knees and pray that it just continues for all the reasons that we talked about earlier on, about Manchester United. There's a process to this game and you can't just throw 300, 400, 500 million at it and hope that everything changes. It just won't. It's a process. It starts with trusting somebody to take control of it top to bottom, which is what we have. So for me, the losers of the week are always going to be those people that just don't trust what we're doing. 14 points. I know a lot of people say this. Somebody made the comment, 14.
It was 14 points with 2 games in hand, but the games in hand means
there's no such thing. The game. If you ask Shane, myself, yourself, you'll always say, I'd rather have the points in the bag. 14 points was poor, but they've bottled a 14-point lead. But I wouldn't even say bottled because nobody's looked at City and went, oh, they've been awful. But it's us, just as a process, as the way we go about things. And it starts with who he brings in, how he brings them in, and what he does. So the losers of the week are the people, for me, that don't trust. I don't care now. When people tell me, oh, we're linked with this fellow, I just go, great. It's going to be great. We'll just bring them in and everything's going to work out.
I did see some people on social media yesterday, and like the game was only over and they were like, we should be signing this fella in the summer, we should be doing this in the summer, we should be doing, and I'm kind of going, what are you thinking about the summer? And sometimes I don't get it because you'll see people giving out about how City have been put together, how they get a squad together, how they go about their business, and you go up against them for as much as you hate what they've done, and you know where I'm going with that, and then people are going, oh, blowing a chance. We need this, we need that, and you're kind of going, well, to do that you probably need to do something a bit mental, which is along the City lines. Kev, is some of it though, and I kind of feel this, some of when people get frustrated at yesterday, I don't know if they're actually frustrated at Liverpool. I don't know if they're actually frustrated with the team. I think it's a way of venting because you know how tight this is. You know how one mistake could change everything. Is it just people letting off a bit of steam and that's just our outlet?
I think you got to look at the. It's difficult to articulate something in 280 characters on Twitter. Very difficult. What you've got in your head and what you type in a keyboard and press send, it all depends on how someone interprets what you've printed. So I can understand frustration when we've all built this game up since January. That we knew the end. Pete was right. We were 14 points behind, but we knew the end result was this one game. And truth be told, we got away with one. And we got the point, and happy days. We deserved the point, but we didn't deserve any more than that. That's for certain. And it would have been a highway robbery of the finest order if we'd have got any more.
It would have been fucking amazing.
It would have been fantastic. We'd have been still on from last night's pod. We'd be still glorying about it. But
me and Shawnee probably wouldn't have had a row if you'd have got a winner.
No, you would.
No,
You'd have still had a row over that offside goal. There wasn't offside. But it's one of those things. The process can be frustrating at times when you know that the players are capable of more than what you're seeing on the pitch at the moment. They're not playing, I've said it for weeks, we're not playing great, but we're getting results done. We're getting the job done. But we aren't at our scintillating best. And we were all desperate for that performance yesterday. All of us. We were all desperate for everyone to turn up on the day and show what they're made of and show what they can do. And some of them didn't, especially in the first half. I mean, you can go through 5 or 6 players in the first half who were really poor, really off the boil. But then you have to remind yourself that these guys are human beings and Man City are very, very good. And we don't acknowledge the fact that football isn't a game that you play on a video screen. And we don't acknowledge when other sides do something really good. Podcasts in general, across the board, are very weak at doing that. And I thought Kevin De Bruyne yesterday was outstanding. and he's one of the rare footballers for opposing sides that sit here, play Kevin De Bruyne. I go out and he had a good game. I find the highlights and watch him. He's one of those. He's one of the few out in world football now that is just that good, and he's capable of doing that to sides. He's capable of doing that to Fabinho. You know what he did for that deflected goal, taking that ball to the side and getting a shot off. He's very good at it, and you can't always defend everything perfectly as much as what you want to. So I can understand the frustration at the end of the game because you know what you wanted to see and you didn't see what you wanted to see, but at the same time, look at where you are and be thankful for where you are, because I remember 10 years ago, we'd have dreamed for this.
Oh, absolutely.
We would.
There's no doubt about it. Shawnee
very short memories and selective memories.
Yeah, Shawnee has warned me not to have any more rows. He said he will be in Verdansk later, which is sound. And he's grand. Everyone just lets you know. Davo, you know, there is people out there that literally will react to any sort of, not even a negative result, anything less than 3 points with, we need this, we need that, we need this. Like, I seen something on Twitter today where people were literally taking stills of City's first goal and going, look at him doing this, and look at him, and hits him, and him, and him, and him. And you're like, what the fuck are you playing at? You know, when you look at City's first goal, it's a foul. They put on a happy birthday, play a quick free kick. He goes by somebody, yeah. He hits a shot, is it great? No. It takes a deflection and goes in. Shit happens. You know what I mean? But you just take them. They can't be perfect all the time. But I'll ask you the same question, or more or less the same question, Davo. Is this just the nerves? With some people, you know, like, after that game yesterday, I'm all over the quadruple, all right? And I'm fully prepared to be laughed at the end of the season if we're sitting here with just a League Cup. I'm absolutely fine with it, because I don't really give a bollocks what loads of people think, right? But there is part of me yesterday went after the game and, you know, if we'd have just fucking done this, or if we'd have just been a bit more solid, is it just a way of venting, Davo? Because people can't be that fucking.
No, you know what I'm like in that WhatsApp, and that's venting for me in there.
Yeah.
Like yesterday comes down to it comes down to this game, right? You know, the game ends 2-2, and you've people saying, seeing Paul Garsh replying to Rob Gutman. Rob Gutman saying, "Listen, I think we might need maybe an elite midfielder and whatnot," which may very well be a valid point. But Paul Garsh was spot on from the Echo. His reply to him was, "Listen, Rob, after watching that game, I'm not sure that anything further was further from my mind than I think Liverpool need more players because of how we dug in and etc. etc." But listen, it's the flip side. We watched that game yesterday, and it's in our hands before the game. If we win the game, we win all the games, we win the league. It ends up a draw. Now, fans are going to go, like, I was sitting there, are you going to sit there and say, would you be happy losing the game 3-2 going for trying to win it? No. The fans would turn around and go, well, we should have probably dug in and stuck in for a point and hope they slipped up. And then you have the flip side of it, of what did happen. We drew the game. Some fans aren't happy that we drew the game. We should have went for a winner. Look, we're up against a fucking brilliant team. A brilliant team. And like Kev alluded to it, I think last night, we've played them twice this season and we've played for two halves and we've drawn the two games. We've been absolutely atrocious in both first halves and City haven't beaten us. So look, it is a way of ending. We could, as like I said to someone today, about all other teams that are thinking about putting a title run together or whatever. That was our first. We'd won 10 in a row, hadn't we, in the league before yesterday? Mm-hmm. So that's 10 wins and a draw. We could win our next 7. That would be 17 wins and 1 draw in the last 18. You might win the league. Yeah. Now that's absolutely scandalous. Yeah. A point from both clubs, but in fairness, you'd have to give City their due if they do end up on top. So you're dealing with a different kind of level here altogether. 17 wins and 1 draw in the last 18 games and not win a league. Now listen, we might drop points, and City might drop points. We don't know who's going to win the league, but there is a viable situation where we'll have won 17 of our last 18 games and not win a league. And that's just where we are at the minute. It'd be fucking great if we were up against kind of a weaker, if there was a lull in the Premier League and we were the top dogs pissing all over everyone and winning 4 out of 5 leagues, but we're not. 2 sensational teams, and we just have to see where we go, really. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in kind of overthinking it. If it is what it is, yesterday we got a point, we've 7 left, and see what happens.
Fucking right. Starting with Saturday as well against them. Davo, I have to stick with you, I think. Winner, please.
Winner of the week for me is Spurs, big time. Similar to the way the weekend went for Everton, I think it went very, very well for Spurs. I think we just discussed United earlier, they're probably out of it. So it comes down to Arsenal. Arsenal, after losing 3 in a row, or 3 out of 4 anyway.
He'll probably get manager of the month as well.
Yeah, Spurs. I was looking earlier on, doing a bit of research for the change. They've won. That's 5 out of 6 wins for Spurs in the league. The slight caveat is over trusting them is they lost 3-2 to a fucking deplorable United side. But listen, since then they've got their act together, and their run in is very, very, very kind. They have Arsenal and us, and then the other games they have is Brighton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home, Burnley at home, and Norwich away. That's 5 wins for me. That's 15 out of 15. And it probably will be enough, yeah. They've got if they got a point against Arsenal, that probably knocks Arsenal out of it. And then the game against us. And listen, they'll absolutely give us a game because of how much quality the front three have. Kulusevski looks a real player. Looks a real find. Kane and Son yesterday. Now listen, they were obviously helped an awful lot by Villa's very, very poor defending, and they owe Lloris a bit of a debt from the first half. He was busy. I think a lot of his saves were very comfortable. One of them was outstanding. I think his first save from Ramsey when he was running through was a really, really, really good save.
How's he gotten his arm up there? How's he gotten his arm up?
Would he get away? Would he get away with that sort of first half against us at Anfield?
No, they probably wouldn't. So that's the thing. But no, listen, with the way the results went, and my kind of winner and loser tie in together, and with Conte going in there, and doing he's an elite manager. He's won leagues at Chelsea, won leagues at Inter Milan. He's gone in there, taking him a while to kind of try and get some kind of system. Because listen, let's be honest, they will back him. They should be backing him in the summer. They probably will back him, because if they don't, he'll throw the toys out of him and walk. I don't see Spurs letting that happen. I don't see Spurs letting that happen. So he'll get it right with them. And if they can just kind of sneak in and get 4th this year, because I thought a few weeks ago, if Arsenal don't get it this year, they'll never get it. And I don't think they're going to get it this year. But I think for the weekend, great weekend for Spurs, and they're my winners of the week.
Yeah, and as we spoke earlier about Everton winning and the teams around them, even the teams above them had good wins, but the teams below them lost. So they made up, they pulled away. They haven't lost any ground on the teams above them, and they've pulled away from ones below. Whereas Spurs, when we're looking at Arsenal, I think being about 5-6 points clear of Spurs with 2 games in hand or something, going back a week or 2 ago, and now Spurs have gone ahead of them, 3 points ahead of them. Just 1 game in hand, I think.
Yeah, I think they're 3 points ahead of them, and Arsenal might have a game in hand. I'm not sure they do.
But I think Arsenal's game in hand is Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea away. So, but Kev, just looking at Spurs, and we spoke about it earlier in the season when we were looking at 4th place. We were saying, not earlier in the season, probably a couple of weeks ago. What am I talking about? Yeah. But it was a case of United need it because they're Manchester United. They feel they should be there. Arsenal need it for me because if they don't get there, I think people are going to go in there and plunder that squad. No matter how much Arsenal think they can hold on to them, there will be players there going, like Davo said, are we never going to make this Champions League? Saka, Martinelli, even the likes of an Odegaard, who's been really good this season, could go, fuck this. Do you know what I mean? We put everything into this, and Ben White's reputation's gone up, Gabriel's reputation has gone up. There is players there that I'm sure teams in maybe in top 4 and even have aspirations of getting in the top 4 would go in there and have a look at Arsenal. But Spurs, we said needed it because they lost a shitload of money during COVID, because they'd so much lined up for that stadium after a huge outlay, and it was kind of like financially Spurs need it more than the other 2. They look good for it now, and that run in does seem kind to them, Kevin. That I couldn't believe we were talking about Spurs a couple of weeks ago. It looked like Arsenal had it nailed on and the run they're on, but they're just starting to collapse, and Spurs have taken full advantage.
Yeah, I'll get to Arsenal later, but Spurs, to be fair to them, the moves that they made in the transfer market, they weren't cheap players that they were bringing in, like Romero, nearly 50 million. Højbjerg took a gamble, and Bentancur, not nailing down a place at Juventus, but good enough to be in and around the Juventus squad. And Kulusevski, again, another one. You know, good enough to be around at Juventus, but they took a punt on him, and they've
I
kicked on.
believe they have an option to buy, but
They have an option to buy on him.
I did hear somewhere the option only applies if they make Champions League. I think it's something like that, but
I think, and it's not massive money for what he's returning either.
I think.
Yeah, it's a gamble. It was a gamble to do it, but it's a sure bet that they'll definitely bring him in. Conte deserves a lot of credit because of the amount of stick that he got earlier on. That he didn't care, that he was too public, that he was gone in the summer. He couldn't deal with Levy. They're the second best side in the country on form in the last 10 games. I think they're only behind us in the form guide, and that's the kind of form that they needed. They've all bought into this contest system of your 5-3-2 or 5-2-3, whichever way he wants to dress it up, depending on who he's playing. And all the players have bought into it, and the squad is actually pretty much built for that because of what Nuno wanted to do. Nuno built a side around wing backs, and Conte has just elevated that, and he's got Kane and Son playing a tune again. I think Heung-min Son is a phenomenal player, and if you can get him right, Kane dropping deeper again, picking passes, he's very good at it. And if you can get him feeding Son, they're going to give you a chance in games, whether they're against good sides or your weaker sides. They're always in a game, and they look hard to beat. Lloris is dodgy. You know, he's capable of moments like Davo said with that great save.
Yeah, he do my head in.
But he flaps it an awful lot as well, and he spills a lot. And if it wasn't for the fact, and I don't know how someone like Magnan, or there's another keeper in France, and his name escapes me, Lafont, that they haven't pushed him harder to get into the French side. But he's trusted, and what can you do? He's a Spurs captain as well. You know, that they've never taken it off him and decided, look, Kane is the England captain, we're going to build everything around Harry Kane. No, they've stuck with Hugo Lloris. And I think
he's French captain as well, isn't he, Kev? So I imagine that's probably the reason he's probably just doing enough. Magnan will be the one really pushing him hard because he's had an excellent a few injuries earlier on at Milan, but he's had a really strong season, really strong season.
He's been good for Milan, The move to Milan has really helped him out. Spurs, I honestly thought Man United, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said United would put a run together and probably get into the top 4 because of, on paper, they have forwards that can score goals. But they've just collapsed. Everyone else, it was a stage for about a month, wasn't it? Nobody wants this 4th slot. Nobody wants it. And then the best thing to happen to Spurs was going out of Europe when they did. It gave Conte time to work on the training pitch, and it's paying dividends now. This was supposed to be Arsenal's saving grace, that Arsenal didn't have Europe. They had time to bed a system in. And they did. They showed glimpses of what they could do on a run, but
when you too much time to think,
young players, they just you can't depend on it.
Well, you can't ship a player that scores 20 goals out the door. A good manager. This is why I don't buy into the whole.
Well, we will. Is this Arsenal? Because Arsenal's coming up later. So Pete, sticking to Spurs. You know, we touched on the whole financial thing. Conte's in. Conte was having an absolute meltdown. Turn of the year, a little bit after that, and he was like saying mad stuff. I think are they beaten by Burnley, and he has a breakdown, and you know, and you're kind of going, he is out of there. Like there's something seriously wrong there. But like Kev says, Pete, He gets time. He walks them. I don't think I still don't think they're great defensively, but I think what they're doing is they're sitting back now and they're saying, right, we're not that great defensively, but what we will do is when we win the ball, we'll try get the 3 lads up front and the wing backs helping, and the solid element of our game will come through the 3 centre backs and the 3 in midfield.
Yeah.
Do you make them favourites now?
Yeah, for in the best of the rest, the chase for fourth, absolutely. There's nothing to touch them. Arsenal won't score goals for reasons we'll talk about later. Manchester United can't string 6 passes together. Wolves are completely out of it. So yeah, of course they'll get it. Chelsea are schizophrenic, so they will get it. But for me, I look at Spurs and people talk about Spurs being a threat to us, and I laugh at it. Spurs, if you watch Spurs in the first half against Villa, it's like they do a rope-a-dope. They sit back and they see what you've got. You can't afford to do that against Liverpool. Yeah, I won't say Manchester City because they beat Manchester City, but you can't afford to do that against Liverpool. Yeah, they said to Aston Villa.
I think they've gone. I think they've even gone further into their shell since beating City.
Yeah,
like against City, you see a lot of the ball, but Spurs did attack when they got it. Even when I watch them now, Pete, it's like there's literally times in the game where Spurs get it and go, not interested. Not the right time, not interested.
They just what they want to do, and it's clever what he's doing. He wants to hit Kane directly and early, and Kane is, in fairness to Kane, dropping off. It's like Teddy Sheringham years ago, what he used to do. If you were playing alongside Teddy Sheringham, you'd score goals. This is a fella that got goals out of Tony Cascarino, and Jurgen Klinsmann and him were just amazing together. So for me, looking at Kulusevski and Son, who I think is the most underrated player in the world, by the way, it just look diamond. So you don't talk about Spurs' midfield. It doesn't matter who's in there. Betancourt, doesn't even Højbjerg is a workhorse. It doesn't matter who's in there. It just gets bypassed, hits Kane, and you're just springing by 40 or 50 yards. But you can't do that against Liverpool. You can't say to Liverpool, you have the ball for 45 minutes and we see what happens. You can't.
Well,
they did.
Danny Murphy's thing on Match of the Day last night was, or the other night was, in the first half, Spurs tried to play out and they weren't able to. They kept losing the ball, kept giving it back to Villa. And I could see chance after chance after chance. And like I said, I'm not going to take this as my analysis. I was just watching Match of the Day. And then Danny Murphy said, flip it to the second half. Very, very direct into Kane and caused an awful lot of problems for Conte and Mings. Now, Conte was very good last year, the great season. Now they're falling off a cliff this year. Mings is fucking dog shit. But they were very direct and they just couldn't live with Kane and so on. So it was coming on to the management thing we're talking about. There's an elite manager. It's not happening. We can't play out. We can't play through them. They're pressing to show you Elvis. We're conceding chances. Right, let's go. Let's go direct.
And that's exactly it, Shane. And you're right about Conte and Mings. Conte and Mings, they were like one person. I think it was the third goal. They were occupying the same space of 5 yards. I couldn't tell you what. The one that Kane flicked on, everybody said it was the best flick on of a header ever. No, it wasn't. It was just the 2 centre-halves rode up his arse. You don't do that. If one of his goes, the other one sits off. You know what I mean? And say, okay, where's the flick going? The 2 boys went for the same ball. Schoolboy stuff. So you're right. Conte's looking. He feels you out. He's feeling teams out. So what I think he wants to do is he wants to beat the best of the rest. He knows, listen, whatever we get out, if we get something out of Liverpool, it's a bonus. We'll probably do Arsenal because we can afford to say that to Arsenal. You go and have the ball for 45 minutes and we'll spring on you. Gabriel will do something stupid. Arsenal will have a couple of brain fart moments. So they probably do Arsenal and do them handy. But you won't do Liverpool. You cannot say to Liverpool, you have the ball for 45 minutes. Happy days. We'll be 2 or 3-0 up at half time.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's not a normal game going to Liverpool. When they go to Liverpool could be literally chasing down one of these 7 wins, and Anfield would be absolutely on wheels. Because I think isn't it a midweek?
Yeah, it's midweek.
Yeah. So I just can't remember all the fixtures, lads. Sorry, there's that many of them. But Anfield.
Now you're moving on the subject. This is just fixtures. I couldn't believe checking Spurs' fixtures that it's so few compared to looking at all Liverpool's with the Europe and the FA Cup and the league games. Is that all Spurs have left?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And
we've got mountains of fixtures.
Yeah, but in fairness, it's not like Spurs are out of Europe and have had a huge advantage. Arsenal are out of Europe. United have gone out of Europe. So it's not like, United played a European game during the week and then had to play at Everton. It's not like that. Darren Dunbar says Son said Conte is the most detailed manager he's ever worked with, and there was somebody there as well was just making reference. Madge Apple says losing Doherty is a blow to them. I think Doherty might be out for a little while actually.
Reguilon will come in on the left hand side. He's probably more natural on the left hand side.
Yeah, but I don't know how.
I don't think Conte trusts him at the
no, I don't trust him much.
He is more of a left mid.
We'll have to wait and see. Kev, we're back to you, I think. And I'm glad we came back to you because Arsenal is your loser of the week, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I was stuck between two because I thought Burnley Burnley could have saved themselves, but they didn't. But Arsenal against Brighton. I mean,
Spurs is a Saturday night at 7:45. That's why I have midweek in my head. Sorry, Kev, go on.
Yeah, Arsenal against Brighton on paper is the easiest fixture of the weekend. It's your banker guaranteed home win because of the situation of both clubs. Brighton are in atrocious form. I think 1 point in 6 going into the game. 1 point in 6 games or something stupid like that. They were playing 2 full backs at centre back with a recognised centre back. Cucurella is a left mid. He was playing as left centre back. They lined up in a 3-5-1-1 away at Arsenal. And they go and win 2-1 against an Arsenal side who had more or less, bar one, I think, bar Tierney, and your man in the central midfield that they got from Atletico Madrid, can't remember his name.
Partey.
Partey, yeah. But they had 9 of their first 11 that you'd expect to start most games. And they just couldn't get a goal. They couldn't find a goal. They did everything but score. But they were so bad at the back. They were so weak. And Brighton were well deserved of their 2-0 lead going into the last 10 minutes. It wasn't the last 10 minutes that Arsenal came alive. And when they got that, when Odegaard got that goal, they went hell for leather. But what were they doing for the other 80 minutes of the game?
Well, they're beaten by clearance for the first one. Your man in the Brighton midfield panics and just boots the fucking ball. And all of a sudden there's a fella down the side. Good cut back, Trossard, good finish. The second goal they play around Arsenal is if Arsenal are fucking the Leinster Senior League team. And Arsenal are all over the shop. Can't hold the line, chasing shadows, just, not standing off when they should, not going into attack when they should. The finish is brilliant though. It's a very good control finish. They hit the bar at Arsenal twice.
But the point is, Arsenal had fourth in their hands for so long. And this last week, has killed it. They've absolutely killed it.
It's because they're not very good, Kev.
No, they're very young.
The average age,
they're very young.
You can't get rid of goals, Kev. I mean, I don't care.
It was the right thing to do to get rid of Aubameyang because he.
No, Kev. I disagree and tell you why. I don't care if he's late for every meeting. If you're this great manager of people, you recognise that Pierre Aubameyang is one of the best finishers in the world. You find a way to work with him until he gets you into the Champions League, and then you can get rid of him. That's poor management. It's not even good game. It's not good season management.
Yeah, but Pete, hold on. He engineered it himself, and I'll tell you why he engineered it himself. Because Aubameyang wasn't just turning up late. He was doing it to challenge Arteta. That's what he was doing. He was, I was off collecting my mother. I was off fucking getting a tattoo. It was all random stuff he was late for. It wasn't like I was late because someone was ill. It was random stuff. It was like,
sit down with him, Gav.
The Thursday deals and Aldi special were on, and I fucking had to go down because we're selling the lawnmower.
It was fair.
But listen, here.
Sit down with him and say, listen, I know you don't want to be here. I know you're probably too good to be here. I know you don't want to be playing with Martinelli. You don't want to be babysitting these kids. I know the level you've played at. I know you're 33 nearly. I know you want to go. I know there's clubs out there that want you. Do me a favour. Give me 3 months. Get me out of this shite. And I swear to God, I will drive you to the new camp.
Yeah, but hold on. That's
what a good manager would do.
No.
Arteta's not a good manager.
I completely disagree. Because if it comes down to Aubameyang and he's actively challenging Arteta, why? Even if Arteta goes and says to him, "Listen, I know you're late and I know you're this and you're just being generally a prick, right? But if you can do this for me and do that for me, Aubameyang, if he's actually challenging him by doing this, instead of having a set of balls and going up and saying, listen, I don't like you, right? I don't fucking like you. I don't like the way we're playing. I don't like where you're playing me. This, that, and the other. And Aubameyang having a set of balls to go and do him as a good player and club captain, may I add, right?
Yeah.
Instead of him going in there and saying, listen, I think you're a wanker. And I says,
like
Grant,
Harry Kane,
hold on, Grant, I think you're a wanker. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll stick it out for 6 months and then we'll sort it out when you go, right? But currently, Aubameyang engineered it because of the timing of it. He was doing it all the fucking time over the Christmas period and right up into January. And don't get me wrong, he scores goals. But you have to remember, Mikel Arteta's in that job a wet day, and if he turns around and lets the club captain decide when he comes into training, turns up for fucking games, right? And I'll go and collect me ma from the shop instead of fucking actually going and doing my job. What does it say about Mikel Arteta then? And
but Gav, hang on a second. Harry Kane did exactly the same things as you're saying to a T. At one point, he was like, "I'm not coming. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to come." He made an absolute prick out of Conte. Now he's one of the best players in the league because Conte is a very good.
And it wasn't Conte. It wasn't Conte.
Was it the other prick?
Nuno,
yeah.
But he's still there. He's still there, though. Well, maybe you're right.
Because Levy wouldn't let him go.
Maybe actually, you know what? I have to hold it in the hand because if it was Nuno, the fact that it's just a better manager.
It's not. I don't even think it's a better manager. I think with Aubameyang, and it came to the point where it was a massive point in Arteta's career at Arsenal, because if he's seen to be bound down to the, don't get me wrong, if the club captain comes out and says, look, we're not fucking good enough, we need to do this, we need to that, we need to this, and the manager bows down, you go, well, do you know what, at least he's admitting his faults and he's taking on board what people are saying. But if your striker and club captain is walking around the place and he's in Barcelona or he's in somewhere else when he's meant to be in London training, how are you meant to bow down to this fella?
He's done an Adam Wingy.
You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, right? Aubameyang knew that he had to go to Barcelona this January because come the summer he won't go there. If he'd have waited at Arsenal until the summer transfer window, he wouldn't have gone there because Barcelona wouldn't have wanted him. They'll have gone for someone else.
Yeah.
Arsenal facilitated the move by cancelling his contract and not demanding a fee. So Arsenal did their best by the player to allow him to move. And
how can you not have a plan B? A club like Arsenal, who are supposed to be, who were for 18 years under Arsene Wenger, shoe-ins for the Champions League. How can you not say we're losing 20 goals here? Let's have a contingency in place. And this is my point. This is my problem with Arteta. Every time somebody lauds him and says, I think Mikel Arteta is a fantastic coach, very good coach, but I don't see a manager. Any manager can put a load of kids in and go,
me.
It's jam yesterday, jam tomorrow, but never jam today. And it's always the same shit. Oh, I'm giving it. For me, it's a cop-out. Look at what I'm doing for the future of the club. No, your job is to bring results today. If you're going to ship 20 goals out on principle, which Gav is right, he's probably right to do, you make sure you have a plan B, because that's what management is.
They had to bring someone. They tried to bring, I think they tried to bring two players in. They tried Vlahovic. It was never going to happen. And they tried Isaac, and they tried your man at Benfica as well. And you can't force a player to come. Bearing in mind the clubs that they were coming from, Sociedad had just signed Isaac to a long-term deal. And Benfica,
do you know what, Kev, though? For me,
you're in a January window as well, mate. So
there's an obsession in the game with getting, going to these elite clubs like Benfica, Ajax. Is there nobody who can get on the end of things that's tearing it up in the Championship, like what used to happen years ago? You tell me the game has changed that much. Exactly.
Brentford would have done.
And for me, like when we were linked with Jota, for example, or when we were linked with the left back who's turning it up for us, right? It was like, oh, he's being relegated. He's not at a big enough club. Sometimes it's just a player. What does he do? Can he get him to the level quick enough in order to do that? I just think there's an obsession with, oh no, he's not playing at elite standard. Really, that's really working out for Manchester United.
But the problem is with Arsenal. The problem is with Arsenal. There is that Arsenal's. If you've seen evidence of Arsenal signing players from, as you would call them, second tier teams in Europe, right? And they were qualifying for the Champions League, you go, that's a great recipe for doing what they're doing, right? But they are probably signing from second tier, right? or lesser, I suppose, standard leagues, like Tierney from Celtic, good left back.
Yeah.
He's playing with Celtic, right? But it's not working for them because they're not getting where they want to go. So what happens is, if they go and sign a player from, they don't sign from Benfica, they go and sign a fella from Braga, right? And they sign him, and he gets 5 goals in fucking 30 games. People go, same old shit. Look, we're signing this fucking fella, and you should be signing from this club, and we're not getting anywhere. That's what the problem is, Arsenal. They're actually not seeing any results for them trying to have a way of doing things. And look, I'm not one to turn around and say spend 80, 90 million on Vlahovic or whoever else they were looking for. If you have the right player, you have the right player. But Arsenal have no results. They've nothing to put up on a presentation to anyone and go, look who we signed. We got these 3 players for 65 million combined, and we're after getting into the Champions League. We're after going up 3 places in the last 3 seasons in the league, and we've won a cup. I mean, they don't have any of that. Yeah. So it's actually not doing them any good. So you have to start looking at a league to try, and that's just to get them to the bare minimum.
Look, they had, like, going back, Peter's right actually about Kane. Look, he got away with murder. England captain. That's what happens. He soaked for fucking 4 months. He got away with murder. Peter's right. Like, I think Neville was called out in it before about he done the thing with Kane, the overlap with Kane. But
unbelievable. Playing golf for them.
Was great. Playing golf for them, and then he was on Pogba's case. But going back to Arsenal.
Yeah, like, but that's the man that should be ignored at all costs.
Exactly. There's reports for years coming out of Arsenal that training was a holiday camp. Fellas fucking just... I'm not even talking about lateness and stuff like that. Just more fucking... The intensity wasn't there. Kind of the end of Wenger. Then Emery comes in. He's kind of weak in the role. Arteta ends up coming in now. And in fairness to him, he got rid of Guendouzi straight away. Thought he was a bad egg. He obviously had his issues with Aubameyang. And he thought best thing to do there for the culture was to get rid of him. So, I mean... I think you kind of have to admire that. I personally do anyway. I think he's put his balls out on the table.
I definitely admire the Aubameyang one.
Yeah, he's put his balls out on the table and he said, look, I'm going to live and die by this, right? Listen, he's going to get stick because, as I said before, if they don't get it this year, will they get it next year? Spurs will have, if they have Champions League money, United will have a new manager. Who knows what's going to happen there? And then you have the others, as you were. So, like, it's going to be tough for them. But, I mean... He had to change the culture because it wasn't like Arsenal fans ran Arsene Wenger out of the club for getting fourth every year. And what did he win? 3 FA Cups in 5 years or something like that? And he was fucking ran out of the club, or 3 and 4 years ran out of the club. So he had to. The fans and him obviously got stale in their relationship towards each other, or whatever way you want to put it. They've had a fall, and then they need the fucking, and then they obviously need to have a reset. And he thinks that's the best way to do it. Time will tell whether he's proven right or not.
They're definitely one of the losers of the weekend. Are you laughing at Red Steve?
Yeah,
he's great, isn't he? I had to throw it up there. I couldn't let it go. He definitely makes the right decision on Aubameyang because he's trying to build a culture at that club, and he has to not only build a culture but build up a reputation with his players as well. We work hard, we do the right things, we're all in it together, and Aubameyang simply wasn't doing that. Club captain. This is the Aubameyang that when they were shy was swerving interviews after games and sending kids out to do them instead. So listen, they're better off without, in my opinion. But
their biggest problem though, mate, is if they didn't do it this season with Europa League.
I think they're going to get plundered.
Yeah, with Europa League next year, they're done. They don't have a squad deep enough, and they don't have the money. They had a big summer. They spent big last summer. I don't know if they can go again this summer with what they need to do. Because what they need this summer coming is volume. They need to keep what they have, but they need a volume of players. They need 5 or 6 players in.
If they don't get top.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble.
And as well as that, you're saying volume, but I go back to it. Where did he buy? What market did he decide to buy in? And we've seen this with Liverpool going back years ago. We're always buying at the, we're not buying at the top table. We're at the second table, and we're trying to do deals. And
you can buy from the second table, provided you've got a coach who can develop.
Yeah,
and a culture around developing. But you have to have senior players.
I'm not saying he couldn't develop them, Kev. I'm not saying he couldn't develop. He could not develop them. But what I'm saying is, their types of players that they're signing is not working for them. I'll put it to you this way: if we signed the players Arsenal signed, they would be good for Liverpool, right? And that's
Like
not only,
Gabriel, people like that.
but that's not only the manager. It's the coaching staff. It's the medical staff. It's the people that are there for your mental health. It's everyone pulling together. Like Klopp never shuts up about it. If he was to get them all together, there'd be about 40 of them there. Or with his manager the month of war going, look, they're all deadly. Arteta comes out and brings all his staff out, right? But it's not working for them, Kev. And that's where they struggle, because they don't, even though they make what you think are quite good signings, there's something not there that they just don't develop them.
They don't have experience.
Well,
there's the one thing that they didn't buy. They never bought in an experienced pro, a James Milner. Someone who can instill that kind of professionalism.
It's not the model.
They've got a really good crop of kids. The likes of Martinelli. I think Martinelli's a great little player. Saka, another one. Odegaard from Madrid. Odegaard has been bumped around from club to club to club while he was at Madrid. And he finally got a home in North London. And he looks like he's a proper player. Emil Smith-Rowe, another one.
Kev, I'll tell you, the best example of what you're saying is, for years and years, towards the end of Arsene Wenger's reign, they really needed a goalkeeper. Really did. Likes of Shea Given, Mark Schwarzer were knocking around. And you were thinking to yourself, just take a chance on one of them and solve your problems. And they wouldn't. They bought 2 Polish kids. It was all about development. Because sometimes the pride is like, no, that's not what we're about. So you just need to buy.
You know what they've done?
Get what you need.
What you're saying there is right. But what they've done is developed a goalkeeper for Juventus in Chesney and another one in Fabianski. A good, solid Premier League pro.
And now Harry Ramsden's in goal.
Who bedded their teeth at Arsenal.
There you go. So, but look, enough for Arsenal. I'm sure they'll come up between now and the end of the season. But yeah, I think they're a good show for Loser of the Week. What have we got left? Davo, are we back to you?
Yeah. My Loser of the Week,
Who was it?
Gary Neville.
Fucking right it is.
I know. I know you'd like this one. Just like I told you, my winner and loser was kind of tied together. How that man can sit in Sky Sports studio and still pedal the line and double down on the line that Conte wasn't right for United and there was no way United should have taken him, and this, that, and the other is fucking beyond me. I can't fathom it. Right, fair enough, Gary. He might only stay for 3 years, but he's be fucking decent. Well, he's be a hell of a lot better than he's are now for them 3 years.
What are you, Davo?
Well, yeah, no, we're not listening. I've more just it was the Conte one that got me thinking, because he keeps doubling down on it, keeps coming down. Even though you look at the directory Spurs around the way United, the towel is coming in from the players of United. Appointing Rannick was fucking laughable. I know you're going to talk about his mate Solskjaer that he never talked about. Gav, he let him away with more. But to be doubling down and saying United shouldn't have gone for Conte is absolutely fucking laughable from a fellow with so much football knowledge. And I'm going to get off it now and let you get up on your soapbox. But he's been telling people up until even a couple of weeks ago that Hodgson going in at Watford will make them hard to beat and he'll do a good job there and they might have a chance of staying up. They're fucking dreadful. He was appointed on the fucking 24th of January and they've won 2 games in fucking 11 or 12. They're gone. They're fucked. Shy. Do you know what I mean? Fucking, like, fair enough, Hodgson.
But Davo, they won the We Weren't Smashed to Bits by Liverpool Cup 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And I think it was that overlap that was released last week. He was saying I could see Watford getting over because Hodgson's in there and they know what they're doing. And like he was comparing them to Lampard, not knowing like relegation battle, which is right, fair enough. You want to fucking compare him to Lampard, but like Hodgson's not getting fucking Watford out of that. Absolutely no chance. And he's still doubling down that he's a man, good manager, knows what he's doing, blah blah blah. He'll make them hard to beat. He's not making them hard to beat. They're fucking handy to beat. So yeah, look at my loser of the week for them 2 things. Listen, I'm sure there's more, but I don't know how he's doubling down on some of his shy takes. So it's Gary Neville for me.
Davo, can I ask you a question before I get on that soapbox you were talking about?
Yeah.
How do you think Gary Neville's reaction was when Jose Mourinho got the job at Manchester United?
I'd say he was happy enough, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think back.
So would I. That's enough. No further questions, right? So his argument over Conte would be that he turns up and he would only stay for 3 seasons. Jose Mourinho was always only going to stay for 3 seasons max at Manchester United because that's what he does. Okay. Antonio Conte then he claimed that the style of football I think with regards to Antonio Conte, wouldn't be something that United would like to see. The chances of Antonio Conte winning more games from me, as opposed to Ralph Rangnick, or indeed whoever they bring in, is probably higher. There's more probability he'd win more games. Style of football is a fucking myth, right, in football. And all this the United way, it's absolute utter bollocks, right? And I'll tell you why. Liverpool had a way where it was pass and move. And I watched Liverpool in the late 90s under Roy Evans, where they would pass you to fucking death and do nothing with it, right? I watched Arsenal when Arsene Wenger should have left in around 2010. He was there 8 years too long, in my opinion, right? Where they done this ticky-taka, tappy fucking bullshit, and they call it the Arsenal way, and they done fuck all, right? They won FA Cups, right? And FA Cups when other teams didn't give a fuck about the FA Cup. Let's be honest about it. Liverpool don't give a fuck about the FA Cup, but they've managed to drop themselves in the semi-final and will show some interest now, all right? So this whole United way thing is complete and utter shit, and it's actually one of the things they absolutely need to get away from if they want to resurrect this club, because if you continue doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, that's a huge issue, right? Gary Neville, I said it the other day, he should be ignored at all costs, and I mean that, okay, because he is literally a man on Sky Sports, okay, that is changing his mind week on week, okay. He's also trying to pretend like he has an input on Manchester United, and he has the best things at heart for Manchester United, all right. Okay, but he was the man that stood in Old Trafford, right, and applauded fans of Manchester United running into that ground to stop a game against Liverpool and putting the club he supposedly loves, right, up in the dock. Now, nothing really happened about it, but he was willing for United to look that bad. That's meant to be his club for the sake of a few fans running in. Yeah, he's into politics now as well. He's decided that he's going to run Labour and he's going to tell the government what to do. By all means, have a go with the government if you're not happy about it. But the soapbox he gets on is absolutely atrocious, right? And he keeps doubling down and he keeps doubling down and he keeps doubling down, right? Because you know why, Davo? Because this isn't punditry anymore, right? This is the old saying, today's news is tomorrow's fucking shit paper. That's exactly the routine he runs on. I'll say this today, people won't remember it tomorrow, and I'll tell you something different. And wherever I think will come off the best, I will absolutely go and do it. Gary Neville, I just can't understand why people listen to him. I can't understand why people tolerate him, right? And he's doing more damage to Manchester United than actual good, despite what he thinks. That's my opinion on Gary Neville. Loser of the week, absolutely. Because do you know what he should do? He should stick to putting his finger up against these screens and dragging circles and triangles and fucking arrows and look at the game. And I'm not saying he doesn't know the game, but look at the game, right? And analyse the game like he used to at Sky Sports. But it's now, he has a circus around him week on week on week. And that's where the issue is. Anybody else want to say anything about Gary Neville?
Politics is his strength. I actually like his politics. I think, I mean, let's face it, the Conservative Party in England is an absolute disgrace. It's just a circle of lies. And I do admire the things I like the Labour movement. He's the closest thing to what Labour really means. But with regard to football, I completely agree with you, Gav. It's whatever way the wind is blowing. And it's not, I find that Neville, when he gets emotional, it's all about what he wants, what he wishes he's seeing. The comment he made back in September of something's not quite right at Liverpool. What he really means is, I want something to not be quite right. He talks in wishes, and that's when you kind of say to yourself. And I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and the lads are paying attention and just laughing at him. For me, if I would use his quotes and stick them on our dressing room wall and say, this is what the likes of Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville are saying about you now. Go out and smash that team to bits again, because that's all they're good for, to be honest with you. I prefer to listen to Roy Keane. Roy Keane every week, they must be whinging, listen, because he just says it the way he just wants to punch them all because it's absolutely fallen asunder. They've actually taken him out of the fire tonight because they don't want to hear them anymore. Gary Neville speaks with his wishes. It's not analysis anymore. It's, I wish Liverpool were shy. I wish this. I wish Manchester United. You just see that we're trying this and we're trying that. It's actually borderline embarrassing at this stage. I now see why when Liverpool were in decline and we had like 6 or 7 lads on the television, ex-Liverpool, I see why other supporters kind of thought that was very, very painful, because I'm sure our guys, to a lesser extent on the BBC, were doing pretty much the same thing, to be honest.
Kev, like another thing you look at is the whole Super League / UEFA Champions League, and you've seen in the news over the last couple of months. So he was a big speaker on this, and he was completely against this European Super League. There was 6 clubs: Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea, that had agreed to go into this. All of them wrong, in my opinion. Okay, not for the way it was done. Rather than just, the actual logistics of it. And the logistics of it weren't great. But he tells you, Kev, that this is completely wrong. They're completely devaluing domestic football. And I agreed with him to that point. I think it did devalue domestic football. Because why would you bother on a Saturday when you know you're getting 350 million quid a year to play in this competition that you can never get out of? But he's also the same man that told Leeds United not to try in the Premier League. Not to try in the Premier League against Liverpool a couple of days later. So he was going on about the value in the Premier League, but he wanted a team in the Premier League not to fight against these big boys. Okay, he wanted them to roll over and say, let Liverpool score 10. It doesn't matter. They don't want competition, right? He wanted that competition to devalue itself for his own argument, right? Now the Champions League comes along, Kev. Okay, and they're talking about legacy places, and they're all sorts of. And there's not a word out of them.
No,
there's not a word out of him. And he spent.
Might want the TV
He spent
rights.
He spent a week, Kev, right, focusing in on Liverpool Football Club when there was 6 of them. But he focused in on Liverpool Football Club, and he was going on about the ethics at Liverpool and the history and the thing, but none about the other ones. None about Manchester United. And now I haven't seen a word from him. He has nothing to say on the Champions League, Kev.
You won't.
Absolutely nothing.
It won't happen, purely and simply because the deal for the Super League. Take everything how badly they got it wrong in some respects. Some of it was right. They were right to want to cut UEFA out. This was always the plan for UEFA, to expand the competition as much as humanly possible. The TV companies, once this dropped with Super League, the first thing the TV companies did, BT and Sky, was one voice. Get the most popular social media accounts on their platforms in one voice saying the same things. Liverpool were the easy ones to target because of this politics of the city, and the tradition of the club. They were the easiest ones to go after. Plus the fact that he hates us anyway, so that made it easier again. But then you see what UEFA have done, and down the line, Sky, or if he's working for BT, or his mates are working for BT, they have cornered the market on the TV rights for the Champions League. Super League was going to be done by DAZN, and Sky and BT were going to get cut out of it completely. That's why they were against it. No other reason.
But there's rumour going around that BT will be sold to DAZN anyway.
Eventually, down the road, maybe, but
they're looking to sell their rights to them.
They're looking to share it because they can't, because of the way the TV rights system works in the UK. You can't have a monopoly on one competition, so they have to spread it about. That's why you ended up having shared games between
Amazon,
Sky and BT at one stage. Then it was Eurosport. Then it was BT Eurosport, and they just want to expand it into an online market just to get more money in the door again. They're not going to give them the rights. DAZN will just take on a certain amount of games. There's just so many games now between the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League. They're fitting games in. Conference League games now and Europa League games have been playing Wednesday and Thursday because there's so bloody many. They can't do it all on a Thursday night anymore. And all the Super League did do was create carte blanche for UEFA to do whatever the fuck they like. Because the one thing that the Super League clubs did was the biggest mistake they ever made was resigning from UEFA on the night it was announced. Because the first thing they did was get the guy from PSG to take over at UEFA. And he's the head of the UEFA clubs delegation now.
Yeah. Well,
then you're seeing the follow-on from the new FFP rules, the new transfer policy ideas, all designed by PSG.
Red Steve said it's pronounced DAZN in my house. Whatever you want, Red Steve. I call it, I don't know what to call it. Every time I look at it, I go, what the fuck is that called?
DAZN.
Yeah, the zone. Yeah.
But back on to Gary Neville. 1 second on Gary Neville. Gary Neville is he's a brilliant analyst. When Sky used to do the punditry, when they used to analyse games
On Monday.
on a Monday Night Football used to be brilliant to watch because you had 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes before a game where they would properly analyse the weekend's performances. And it was worth it because Neville and Carragher played off each other brilliantly. They had a great chemistry. They worked on it really well. And it was informative. You come away from watching them analyse a game smarter, and you understand the game more.
But people don't want that, Kev. What people want is people to come on and say outrageous stuff, and then we all click on it and do all that shit.
In fairness, that's what YouTube is for. No, I mean we're not, but there are plenty of other Shouty Joe channels out there that if you want your clicks, you can go and click on them. But if I'm paying €100 a month for Sky Sports, I want to be informed.
Well, you're going to be left very disappointed because what you're going to get is
but you know what I mean. I want more than a Shouty Joe channel.
Yeah, right. We have to move on because that was in work in 15 minutes. Pete, I think you're up last with your winner of the week. Go.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp and his half-time team talks. I mean, it's to put it simply, in a nutshell, especially for you, Dav, and your shift, how many times have we stunk out the place for 45 minutes this season? And it's usually the 45 minutes that Match of the Day and all the analysts take their, look at the chances, usually offside opportunities, by the way, against Liverpool. They're conceding a lot of chances with this high line myth. And how many times has Jurgen, particularly, and I think it really, on Sunday really came to the fore, how many times has Jurgen brought the boys into the dressing room? Bear in mind, less than a year and a half ago, when he lost his assistant, or 2 years ago, everybody was saying, it's going to fall apart. Jurgen is all about, giving people hugs. He seems to be able to round the troops at halftime, even after a shit show, and completely change the dynamic, direction, even the energy levels of a football match. And so much so that I'm looking at it now at halftime going, just get to halftime if we're not winning, because I know that he will turn it around at halftime and we'll just put on a performance. I think if you look at the league table, if every match ended at 45 minutes, it'd be a different story with Liverpool. And I just think Jurgen, we take it for granted, obviously, as Liverpool supporters. I think it's something that you can't replace. I don't know how many games I've seen or I've played, or you guys have seen or you've played, where you have a bad 45 and you just can't lift yourself for the second half. It seems to be a specialty with him. So for me, he's the winner of the week, especially going there against them. And that was Manchester United or Manchester City at their very best, and us at 45 minutes of our, after his team talk. For me, we just got it right. So Jurgen and his halftime team talks, my winner of the week.
I'm a bit like you. I am a bit like you, where I say to myself, get to half time, and even if that's drawn, winning, losing, I always feel like Klopp will do something. It might even be a tactical change. You might do nothing tactically, you might do personnel, but something always seems to change in Liverpool. Where they go up a gear. And we were saying the other day, that was the first game in 19 or something, they conceded a goal in the first half. So it's not like we're having bad first halves, but I always want to get to half time. Davo, there's halftime team talks. I think there's a couple of things in this. I think loads of Liverpool fans want to get to halftime just so Klopp can get a hold of them and say, right, we're 1-0 up, let's go and make it 2 or 3. That sounds very simplistic, but you know what I mean? Here's an idea as to how we can do it. Or, we're drawn, we have to do this, or whatever it might be. And just to focus them sometimes, I think just to get them in and focus them. Not tell them to do anything mad, just to focus them. But on top of that, Davo, to stretch it out a little bit, his subs for me have got much, much better over the last 12 months. The timing of them, the personnel. I'm not even saying they're brave, but he seems to get more and more subs right as well.
Yeah, and I think I don't know whether it was half time in the game or since the game. I think they said, might have been in the commentary, they said I think we scored 40 odd goals in the second half of matches this year, which is like a huge number. And obviously the subs coming in really helps that. But obviously, listen, the depth of the squad has gone up a notch. Do you know what I mean? Like, for years we were hearing, are we going to be able to replace the front three? Well, they're kind of replaced now as it is. Maybe one more to come in. And obviously the same at midfield as well. So, yeah, look, I think when you have the bodies there, Gavin, you're not looking around and you're not looking at Divock Origi or now. Listen, I've all the love in the world for Divock Cult hero for what he's done at the club, but he's a bit hit and miss when you don't know what you're going to get off when you bring him on. So when he's or Minamino or stuff like that who hasn't worked out for really, but when you're not looking at them and you're looking at the likes of Diaz and that bench was strong yesterday. João Gomez can't get a game. Kanate is probably the fourth sub and the fourth defensive substitute that'll be made and stuff like that. The squad is very, very strong and he's certainly making use of it very well, yeah.
Kev, I don't want to get into a conversation about Klopp's contract and what's left because I only get very upset, like genuinely upset. But Dazza makes a point here. COVID football seemed to have him bored, fed up with the bad luck, and now he looks fresh again. Is that a difference in him?
I think it's helped. That kind of been easy for anyone. He's an emotional character, and he thrives on the crowd and the pressure. It brings the best out of him, and in turn brings the best out of his team. I don't know if you guys have seen the Boot Room podcast or the Boot Room documentary on BT Sport. I thought it was a phenomenal bit of work. But he went out of his way to talk about his team and everything that they bring to the table as well as what he brings. And I hope he stays. I genuinely do. But I think being in a job with this much pressure for as long as he's been, you need that release. You need to be able to get away from football completely, and your family life has to be rock solid. And I hope that the wife says, yeah, you can stay, because I think that's what it's got to come down to. I think it's got to come down to the kids are grown and gone. The kids came over to Liverpool as teenagers. They're off at university now, or they're off flying the nest, so it's just the two of them. And if she wants to stay, he stays. If she wants to go home, they go home.
We should be just sending him a load of drink and a load of smokes at the end of May.
I think you need to sweet talk to Mrs. May. I think if you sweet talk to Mrs., you might have a really good chance.
Yeah. There's been a bit, Kev, made of words he said, like, he's speaking to Peter Crouch, I think, and he says, in the next couple of years or more, maybe, and he's kind of. People are hoping he's slipping.
Very media savvy.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp is very media savvy. Before he took on the job at Dortmund and he was at Mainz, he was a TV celebrity in Germany. He did the TV punditry gig. He was a pundit, I think, in the World Cup in Germany. He knows the media. He knows how to work the media. And if he wants to engineer a situation where he gets the maximum out of a contract for Liverpool, he drops little phrases in like that. He doesn't say many things by accident. He has this turn of phrase where he goes, the way he speaks is he exaggerates little things in the way he talks, but he drops little pearls and little nuggets in there, and he drops them in there for a reason. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's trying to engineer a top contract or seeing what's on offer, maybe. I don't know. But we'll see.
Yeah, that
was the most important halftime team talk of the season.
Yeah, and we come out and scored in 46 seconds, and what?
He was only in there for like 10 minutes.
He came out early himself.
Really early, yeah. He trusts the players. He's assembled a really experienced squad now, and he trusts them implicitly.
Yeah, because when you speak to him and you say to him, what do you say? And he goes, I don't say an awful lot, but I think a huge thing is just focus. I think getting them focused back onto what they're meant to be doing, because look, City were good in the first half, right? Yesterday, Liverpool weren't, and it was through a lack of. I think it was due to City pressing was really high, but Liverpool weren't focused on what they were trying to do. They were getting caught up in all sorts of stuff. And when you focus, when he gets them at half time, or there's an injury and he pulls a few of them over, and he focuses them again, and they seem to go, sorry about that, right, here we go and do it again, and they never make the same mistake twice, sort of thing. But at the end of the day, Emma Kavanagh says Ula was in the away end. Kevin Ball and a few more have said his wife was in the away end against City.
Dicko.
Dicko said it, and Ula was in with the away fans singing his new song. She's hooked. She'll get him to sign, says Emma Kavanagh. I hope you're right. Real Talk Football TV says Klopp will stay. He likes the competition with Pep. They both need each other. We'll have to wait and see, but you have 2 years of them. At least enjoy every single minute of it. Well, we've done enough now. Davo has to go. He's probably late for work. You know.
Yeah.
He's probably late for work, and we apologise for that. But anything else before we go, Davo?
No, just looking forward to getting the job done on Wednesday. I don't want any messing like the end of the game. I don't want to be behind the couch with 5 minutes to go, even though we're ahead and angry. Get a couple of goals up and fucking cruise it, for fuck's sake. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Anything before we go, Kev?
No, all good, man. Same as Davo. Looking forward to Wednesday night now.
Okay, good stuff. Anything else before we go, Pete?
Stuck into this. End off.
Okay, good stuff. Tomorrow night, we will have the midweek fix. Keith is hosting that. Haven't a clue who's on with him. We will sort that out tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll have the full-time Reds, which is cool. Thursday, I think we might have a day off. Friday, we'll be back with Sports Unplugged. And Saturday, we will have full-time Reds after the FA Cup game as well. So loads coming. I'll try to get a couple of Cup updates in at the minute. But I'm genuinely being told what to do by a 9-year-old all week while I renovate a bedroom. And, like, trust me, I'd rather fucking take the abuse off her.
Eat the wallpaper, I guess.
Yeah. The abuse off users for not doing that show is nothing compared to what I have to listen to. And, that's just the way life is. That has been Winners and Losers. Thanks a million for watching. Féileacáin is up on your screen. It says on the screen, link in the description. In the description for this show is the link to Féileacáin. It's a brilliant, brilliant charity. Donate if you can. If you can't, just share it to everyone. Like, if everyone shares it, it would be fucking everywhere, wouldn't it? It's not in enough places. I'm not happy about it. So make sure you donate, and if you can't, share. And as I said, if you're out there and you want to do something with mates where you raise some money for Féileacáin, we'll do everything we can to help you. That has been it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.